live in the present, but you gotta learn from the past.
Hey, Big E here in the house.
Joe Rogan gets fact-checked in real time on his own show by none other than an Australian mate.
Joe Rogan gets fact-checked in real time, realize he is wrong, yet is unable to accept it.
I was very impressed. I had to see the whole video. I don't want to just see the little clip. Let me see the whole video.
On the ground in a pool bleeding low. I had a feeling.
Watch this.
For young boys in particular, there's an adverse risk associated with the vaccine. It's like a 2 to 4-fold increase in the instances of myocarditis.
Yes, but you know what?
Hospitalization.
You know that there's an increased risk of myocarditis among that age cohort from getting COVID as well, which exceeds the risk of myocarditis from the vaccine.
I don't think that's true. I don't think it's true. No. I don't think it's true that there's an increased risk of myocarditis from people catching COVID that are young versus increased risk of myocarditis from the vaccine.
No, there is. There's both.
Well, let's look that up because I don't think that's true. Myocarditis more common after COVID-19 infection than vaccination. But is this with children? Yeah, we're talking about young people.
Men and boys aged under 30 after this is what it says here.
With children is the issue.
Well, no, we were talking about 15-year-olds.
Well, we're talking about young children.
Male
yes,
12 to 17.
12 to 17, more likely to develop myocarditis within 3 months of catching COVID at a rate of 450 cases per million infection. This compares to 67 cases of myocarditis per million at the same time following their second dose of Pfizer.
Yeah, so you're about 8 times likelier to get myocarditis from getting COVID than from getting the vaccine.
That's interesting.
Now,
that is not what I've read before, but also it's like, even when we're reading these things, it's like, what are we getting this from?
I'm sorry, Mr. I fact-check Joe Rogan in real time and I'm a good Aussie bloke. The beaches were never closed? What are you talking about? The beaches were closed both in Sydney and Melbourne and all the other states, even though Sydney and Melbourne aren't states.
If you ever tried to fact check somebody in your life, especially anti-vaxxers, you have likely experienced almost the exact same thing. This resistance to want to accept that they are wrong.
I couldn't understand why this Aussie douchebag was lying about this. Why are you lying about the Australian police state? Why are you saying it's just happy-go-lucky and you can go to the beach and go for a jog and you don't need a mask or anything?
You shouldn't feel bad as an individual in the moment about being wrong. You should be willing to accept the reality that you were wrong and be able to learn and move on.
Now it's clear that because I'm on YouTube, I can't talk about the medical issue at all. But what I can do is link to a study from Nature that shows that this man is clearly mistaken about this issue.
Now, the only reason Rogan should feel bad in this moment is that he has spread bullshit to millions of people for almost 2 years.
He didn't own Joe Rogan. He was mistaken and he was wrong.
He's had on crazy after crazy after crazy, and you see what it's done to his brain. This is what often happens, where even basic facts don't get in. Where even basic facts are unable to change someone's mind once they have bought into a certain narrative.
He's acting like Australia is just this amazing free country and that everything else is just hype from US media.
You working for the state, you seem like you're a little dismissive of any criticism of the way they've handled it in Australia.
No, I feel true about the rules.
So Sydney is not like a mask place? You don't have to wear a mask outside?
Now it is, because we've got Omicron up the wazoo.
Independent fact checkers, and when I say that, I mean people with brains, can clearly just Google.
Researchers analyzed the records of healthcare organizations that cover a fifth of the US population. They found that during the first 12 months of the pandemic, males aged 12 to 17 were most likely to develop myocarditis within 3 months of catching COVID-19, at a rate of about 450 cases per million infections. This compares with only 67 cases of myocarditis per million males of the same age following their second dose of a Pfizer or Moderna vaccine. 6 times more likely, according to this study, 6 times more likely to get myocarditis from COVID-19 than from a vaccine.
Well, listen to me, you parasite, you state-funded journalist. That's not true, and you know it's not true. Here's a little list of some of the things we've been dealing with for the past 2 years.
Another study, this one's out of Israel, looked at 880,000 people. That's a lot of data for a study.
We couldn't keep our jobs unless we got the jab. We couldn't travel between states. We couldn't travel outside of the country. We couldn't even travel outside of 5 kilometers of our home. But according to you, everyone has a beach 5 kilometers within their home.
Scientists did find a link between the vaccine and an increased risk for myocarditis, an extra 2.7 cases of myocarditis per 100,000 vaccinated people, compared to the unvaccinated group. However, the risk was much higher among people who contracted COVID-19 at 11 cases per 100,000, compared to those who hadn't been infected, the findings showed. So this is another study with even more data showing the exact same thing.
Protesting was illegal despite the fact that there have been 0 community transmissions outdoors. So explain that one, Mr. ABC journalist, please.
This is the issue. When you have a podcast and you don't know what the hell you're talking about, and you diving into these topics of science and infectious diseases, and you're having on crazy people, you are spreading lies to millions of people to the point where you're now considered, in some people's minds, to be equally, at the very least, equally worth listening to as the actual science and data.
Peace out. Don't like you. Look, I'm sweating because it's just so annoying, you fuckwit.
This is what really bothers me, Wallace told Rolling Stone. These are fringe ideas not backed in science, and having it on a huge platform makes it seem there are two sides to this issue, and there are really not. The overwhelming evidence is the vaccine works and it is safe. That's the reality. That's the issue that people like Rogan have created with this vaccine hesitancy, because they are spreading bullshit, complete bullshit, listening to crazy people, believing that instead of the actual data, the actual science.
Like, subscribe, everyone. I'm sorry for swearing, and I'll see you next time.